Ilia, stop running, Ilia. Stop running, Ilia. Good boy. I'll make it quick, no worries. Good boy. Bryce Mitchell as the worst. He's the worst fighter in 145. He took him down and like hold him. I mean, I can tell he's not high level. I can't wait to show like.
Joe Rogan has reacted to the heated airport brawl between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan. He called it wild, intense, and honestly kind of crazy. But that's not all that's been going on. Ben Askren, who recently went through a major health scare, is finally on his feet again. Meanwhile, Adesanya has dropped new sparring footage training with Volkanovski. Pereira is clearly working hard on his wrestling defense, probably getting ready for a rematch. Ali gave his thoughts on Merab versus Sandhagen, and Michael Bisping is questioning if Chimav's new cardio focus could actually backfire. So much is happening, let's get into all of it. Ben Askren gave a personal health update recently. He was readmitted to the hospital just 6 days after being discharged from a double lung transplant. Doctors were worried about a possible chest tube infection and brought him back in for more tests, antibiotics, and x-rays. In a video from the hospital, Askren confirmed what was going on. He looked right at the camera and said, "As you guys can probably tell, I'm not home anymore, unfortunately."
What's up, guys? I want to give an update on how I'm doing. Everything is going pretty well. I got another tube out, only have one tube left, and I wanted to make a reflection with where I was listening to nothing ago, which was Father's Day. So I'll read you this journal entry. It's from our friend Amber. I actually thought my wife wrote it. That was a mistake. So there really hasn't been any big updates on it.
But even with this setback, Askren is pushing forward. He posted a video walking laps around the hospital, his first time moving since waking from a 45-day coma. It was emotional. Fans and fighters flooded the comments with love. Sergio Pettis wrote, "Askren strong," and many others shared their own stories of recovery and hope.
4 days now. It's awesome. Sleeping in my own bed, eating my own food, hanging out with my family. It's great. That being said, I still got so many physical challenges to deal with. I'm still down about 35 pounds from where I should be. I gotta walk with a walker. I can't walk. Can't walk. This 5-pound weight, this is actually hard for me to curl, right? And you know, right before I had to go to the hospital,
he looked noticeably thinner in the video, about 50 pounds down from his time in the ICU, but he was upright, mobile, and fighting. That's progress. His team hasn't confirmed if the infection is serious or if more procedures will follow. Before this, he had been in the hospital for nearly 2 months, battling severe pneumonia caused by a staph infection. His heart even stopped 4 times during that time.
Just insane. Insurance is a scam, and it's so sad. Right when you need these companies, they're not there, and it's up, and his insurance denied him to get the double lung transplant, which is also one of the most expensive surgeries, which is why they denied it. It just sucks. It sucks that no one's doing anything. I was obviously super busy this week, so we're figuring out the donation now, but none of these people like Dana or
this lung transplant was no small operation. Recovery will take time, but that video of him walking shows he's still fighting hard. He's back in the hospital, yes, but he's moving, he's healing. No one knows exactly when he'll get to go home again, but one thing's for sure, Ben Askren is not giving up. Switching gears, Israel Adesanya is back. He officially confirmed he's returning to the UFC and just days later dropped a sparring clip with Alexander Volkanovski.
No one's ready for that.
Fans lit up when the footage came out. Both champions training together at City Kickboxing in Auckland. It's rare to see that. Adesanya and Volkanovski have trained together for years, but this time Adesanya himself shared the footage. That made people think he's serious and the timing is interesting. Adesanya just announced his comeback and now we see him sparring already. Volkanovski said afterward, "He was taking it easy. When it was my attack, I didn't even get close to him." That little detail got fans talking. Is Adesanya already sharp and ready?
Here a moment. Yeah!
The clip was first posted to Threads, then spread across X. One version posted by UFC 5th Round went viral fast. No official fight date yet, but from the look of things, Adesanya's back in full training mode. And with Volkanovski expected to fight again soon, the whole City kickboxing crew looks locked in. Speaking of fighters preparing hard, Alex Pereira is working intensely, focused on defense this time, as he gets ready for a potential rematch with Magomed Ankalaev. One training session stood out, Pereira drilling takedown defense with a heavyweight partner, working on strength and close-range defense. There was even footage of him sparring with Glover Teixeira in the snow. It's a mix of strength and endurance training, pushing limits in cold weather. No flashy moves, just solid, smart defense. Pereira recently said that he isn't overhauling his camp or doing anything drastic. He's just adapting, especially for a southpaw, and focusing on the small details. To him, Ankalaev is just another guy, but not everyone agrees. Fighters like Aljamain Sterling wonder if Pereira's travel and media work might be distracting him. Maybe that played a role in his UFC 313 loss. Still, his teammates like Caio Borralho believe Pereira is only getting better, harder to take down, more dangerous every round. According to Borralho, Ankalaev's best hope is to drag it out for 5 rounds because Pereira's too powerful to finish and too skilled on the feet to go toe-to-toe. There's even face-off footage from UFC 313 week showing the two men sizing each other up, silent, serious. Pereira hasn't officially talked about the rematch, but it sure looks like he's getting ready for it.
Right, gets all this credit for his hands, his boxing, and I think you're right there, if not better.
When me and O'Malley fight, I'll get to show that I'm a lot better than him. When you think about O'Malley, man, like he's had a good run at stuff, but I think if you fight tough guys for long enough, like there's gonna be nights where you just don't win. You know what I mean? Because all of these guys are really good. And I fought the best guys for a really long time. O'Malley's not really one of those guys that gets to say that he's fought all of the best of the...
Elsewhere, Sean O'Malley has been vocal about the upcoming title fight between Merab Dvalishvili and Corey Sandhagen. Since losing to Merab at UFC 316, O'Malley has been active in the media again. He said on the Overdogs podcast that he offered to step in on short notice to fight Corey Sandhagen at UFC 318 when another fight fell through. 3 weeks, me versus Corey would be sweet, he said. But the UFC passed on that idea. Now Corey is set to fight Merab at UFC 320 on October 4th.
I feel for Sean, like Sean's kind of one of those guys that kind of thinks about life in terms of like a journey and all of that stuff. And I can relate to that big time. So I know the feeling of changing a lot of stuff about your life in hopes that it will translate over into fighting, and then also in hopes that you'll get like a good result from it. But yeah, it sucks that life doesn't kind of always work like that. So
hey, let's be real. O'Malley has no business fighting Merab for an immediate rematch. He got beat up in the first fight. He's going to get beat up in the second fight. No one wants to see that fight. I'm not booked yet. I want to fight. I am so damn bored. I'll even give this fool as much time as he wants, the way that Aljamain gave him as much time as he wants. Just UFC. Make the fight that the fans want to see, which is me and O'Malley. Make it happen soon. I'm so...
O'Malley gave props to Sandhagen, called him one of the hardest guys in the division to finish. He praised Corey's takedown defense and scrambling, saying that might help against Merab. But even then, O'Malley thinks Merab probably wins. Meanwhile, Corey hasn't stayed quiet. Earlier this year, he called out O'Malley and said fans don't want to see an instant rematch between Sean and Merab. He also made a jab at O'Malley's social media following, saying it shouldn't be a free pass to avoid real contenders. Corey earned his title shot with a TKO over Davis and Figueiredo back in May. Sean doesn't have a fight booked yet, but he says he wants to return before year's end. The title fight is set, but all three, Merab, Corey, and Sean, are still very active in the title picture. It's getting tense in the bantamweight division. Dricus du Plessis has said it clearly. Israel Adesanya is the best best opponent he's ever faced. Leading up to UFC 319, Duplessis explained that preparing for Adesanya was the toughest because of his striking, timing, and unpredictability inside the cage. He studied Adesanya for a long time. He felt real pressure going into that fight. It happened at UFC 305 in Perth, and in that fight, Duplessis got the win, a fourth-round rear naked choke. That was his first title defense, and it was the first time Adesanya had ever been submitted in the UFC. Even though he called Adesanya his best opponent, Duplessis admitted some other fights were harder physically. He mentioned guys like Sean Strickland and Brad Tavares who gave him more damage and tested his toughness. There was a lot of tension before that Adesanya fight. Duplessis had questioned if Adesanya was a true African champion, which led to some heated press conferences. But after the fight, Duplessis gave Adesanya a custom jacket, a big sign of respect. He said they weren't friends, but they respected each other as fighters. In recent interviews, Duplessis said fans and even other fighters still don't fully get his fighting style. Both Adesanya and Robert Whittaker have criticized it, but they couldn't stop him. He simply said the results speak for themselves. He's now preparing to defend his title again at UFC 319, this time against Khamzat Chimaev. Duplessis said it's just another challenge. He's not changing who he is or how he fights. And if a rematch with Adesanya ever happens, he called that a dream matchup. In another interview, Caio Baralho gave his thoughts on Robert Whittaker, and they were honest. He said it seems like Whittaker might be nearing the end of his MMA career. According to him, it looks like the former champ doesn't want to go through another 5-round war. Baralho still called Whittaker a legend and one of the best in the middleweight division. No disrespect, but he believes the fire just isn't there anymore. And many fans agree. Whittaker is one of the most respected fighters in the UFC. He's been in the game since 2012 and has been in some brutal fights. Big wins over guys like Yoel Romero, Jared Cannonier, and Kelvin Gastelum made him a fan favorite. But lately, after recent losses to Khamzat Chimaev and Rainier de Ridder, people have started wondering, can he still compete at the top? Baralho said it straight. He doesn't think Whittaker wants to go through the pain of another long fight. And to be fair, Whittaker hasn't responded to the comments or announced another fight yet. But the conversation around his future is picking up fast. And now back to where we started. Joe Rogan has reacted to the wild airport clash between Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan. Speaking on his podcast, Rogan didn't get too deep into the details, but he made it clear this stuff is getting more and more public. He said things like this build hype for future fights, even if they aren't booked yet. And in classic Rogan fashion, he joked that with those two, you don't even need a press conference to sell a fight. For weeks, Arman Tsarukyan has been calling out Ilia Topuria pushing hard for a title fight, but Topuria hasn't shown much interest. Most fans expect him to face someone like Paddy Pimblett or Justin Gaethje next. But Chael Sonnen says otherwise. He told MMA Junkie that UFC insiders have told him Tsarukyan versus Topuria is actually in the works for this year. According to Sonnen, Topuria often says no to fights at first, except for Paddy. He compared it to Anderson Silva's old tactic, deny first, then accept later. So while nothing's official, Arman might actually get that shot. Meanwhile, Khamzat Chimaev is training hard for UFC 319. He's working with strength coach Sam Calavita, known for transforming TJ Dillashaw. They've been focusing on lactic threshold, VO2 max, and endurance circuits. Dillashaw even called it a secret weapon and changed his prediction. He now sees Chimaev winning. Chimaev has faced criticism for fading after round 1, like in his fights against Burns and Usman. But new footage shows he's building serious cardio. Still, Michael Bisping is skeptical. On YouTube, he warned that turning Chimaev into a cardio fighter could dull his explosiveness, just like what happened with Conor McGregor. He says if Chimaev doesn't finish Duplessis early, it could go badly. Others like Luke Rockhold share that concern. Dillashaw insists the changes are legit, but the big question is, can Chimaev keep his killer instinct and still last 5 rounds? We'll see soon enough. What do you think? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more.